K.W. Krieger presents The Obscura Dossier. Episode 14. Under Pressure. Statement of Lieutenant Adrian Fairmont, formerly of Her Majesty's Submarine Division, regarding the events of an uncompleted reconnaissance mission over the Mariana Trench. Statement recovered from Insider Journal, surrendered after the end of World War II. Statement begins. 55 days. That is the last count I am certain of. 55 days since I last saw the sun, or breathed air that wasn't rationed through this vessel's dying lungs. 55 days since the surface stopped answering. We were already in deep waters before it happened. Our orders were simple: silent reconnaissance in search for German nuclear subs. We had charted a course along the ridge line of the trench, and were ordered to maintain radio silence unless compromised. The crew was a good one. Captain Edward Hensley commanded HMS Arden with that mix of caution and stubbornness that made you feel safe even out here. Lieutenant Morris was my second. He was good with the men and even better with the engines. Petty Officer Carter handled sonar, though he never much liked the quiet, and the rest, well, Thompson, Ellis, Hughes, and young Daniels. They kept things running without complaint. We all knew the rules of the mission, and we all knew the risks. But silence came far sooner than expected. It began with the shockwave. No warning, no hint of enemy action, just a pulse, as if the sea itself had clenched in on us for an instant. I felt it in my bones before the instruments screamed. A shuddering ripple through the water that made the steel around us sing like a struck bell. The lights faltered and the engines groaned. And then, without ceremony, the world narrowed to the thin beam of an emergency lamp and the sound of our own breath. Captain Hensley tried the radio. No reply. Tried again, nothing but a low, wet hiss. Morris and I ran diagnostic, checked the aerials, and everything looked normal, except that the signal wouldn't carry. We suspected that perhaps we had been hit, or at least near hit, by one of the German subs that had picked up on us on the sonar. But none of the German, or even the Axis subs, had weapons capable of interfering with communications this deep underwater. That was the last time that we spoke above a whisper. The confusion set in quickly. Nobody wanted to say it out loud, but we all knew something wasn't right. Carter kept glancing at the sonar like he expected something to appear, though he didn't say what. Thompson swore he felt the hull shift under us, but Morris brushed it all off his nerves. Then the engines started acting up. It wasn't sudden, more like a slow, deliberate stutter. The kind you notice in your heartbeat when something's wrong. The power readings dipped, stabilized, and then dipped again, but even lower. Hensley ordered us to surface, but the response was sluggish, like the ship was hesitating. And a few minutes later, the port engine cut out completely, and the Arden began to sink. We were slowly floating down into the deep, dark depths of the trench. The depth gauge spun steadily downward, and the hull groaned in a way I'd never heard before. A low, almost human sound, as if it resented the pressure. Nobody spoke. We passed beyond the point marked safe on the charts, past where training said we'd never need to go, and still we dropped deeper into the trench. The water outside was black, but it felt thicker than darkness, like there was something in it, something pressing in, watching. No one said it, but I think we all knew. The Arden wasn't going to stop until we reached the bottom. The starboard engine gave out an hour later. There's no warning, no stutter, just silence. It was like something had just pulled the plug. The last of our momentum carried us further down, slow and steady, until the hull shifted with a dull, heavy clang. We'd landed. Not the bottom, that much was clear from the depth reading, but somewhere along the trench wall, a ledge. The sub tilted slightly to port, just enough to make you feel off balance if you stood for too long. The lights were still on, but they were dimmer now. The air had already began to stale. You could smell metal and feel the damp in your clothes. Hensley ordered Carter to sweep sonar for any signs of movement, surface ships, enemy subs, anything, but the scope came back empty. Completely empty. No pings, no echoes. It was as if we were alone down here. Alone in all that black. We checked the systems again. Everything said we should be able to start the engines, but every attempt ended the same. Nothing. It didn't even sound like they were trying. We told ourselves we'd wait it out, that maybe whatever had knocked us out of commission would pass and that we'd get the power back. But as the hours stretched on, the only thing we got was the sound of the hull settling. Creaks and groans that echoed through the vessel like footsteps far away. And sometimes it felt like the Arden wasn't sitting still, like it was shifting ever so slightly, the way a boat rocks at anchor. Only there was nothing here to rock us. You don't think about death much when you first get trapped, not really. You think about rescue, about the next hour, the next day. You think about the rations, how long they'll last, how much each man can have. We did the numbers. 2 weeks if we were careful. It lasted 5 days. Hunger is slow at first. A dull ache you can ignore. Then it gets sharp, frantic. The kind that makes your hands shake when you're not even cold. You start to see food where there isn't any. You start to smell it. Captain Hensley was the first to go. He'd stopped eating before any of us, saving his portions for the younger lads. When he collapsed, there was a moment, just a moment, where we all just stared at him. There was no grief, no shock, just calculation. Ellis followed the next day. He'd been sick for a while, coughing into a rag until it was black. I told myself it was mercy what we did. We stripped the meat from his bones like engineers dismantling a boiler. It was efficient and methodical. You never truly comprehend the weight of your situation until you've got your best mate's flesh between your teeth. It's a sick kind of cruelty, that the body still craves the thing it knows will damn it. Hughes was the strongest of us and the quickest to act. He slit young Daniel's throat in his sleep. No words, just the wet sound of the blade and the gurgle after. We ate what we could, but I never forgave him for that. One night later, I smothered Hughes with my own hands, felt the fight go out of him in shudders, and then nothing. The bastard shouldn't have left his guard down. Thompson had been hiding in the aft torpedo compartment, shivering in the dark, convinced we wouldn't find him. But Carter and I dragged him out. His nails tore at my face, left lines of blood across my cheek. But he was no match for the two of us. We tore him apart, the sound of tendons snapping, echoing in that steel coffin until it didn't sound human anymore. That was 4 days ago. Yesterday I killed Carter. He was weaker than me. His bones cracked too easily, like the pressure outside had already softened them. Now it's just me. Me and the Arden and the hunger. It's been 4 days since Carter. The hunger is still there, gnawing at me. But it's quieter now. What's louder is the silence. When you're this deep, the world doesn't sound the same. The ocean isn't just quiet, it's empty. I can't hear the hum of ships above or the distant churn of engines. There's nothing out there. It's like we've been sealed away, entombed at the bottom of the world. The Arden feels smaller every day. I can hear the steel flex with the pressure, feel the cold seep through the walls into my bones. Sometimes I lie down in my bunk and close my eyes and imagine I'm in a coffin, 6 feet under the earth, dirt pressing in from every side. But the truth is worse. Dirt you could dig through. This is 10,000 leagues of black water, the weight of mountains pressing on all sides, and no hope of clawing your way out. I try to keep the lights on, but the power flickers more now, leaving me alone in the dark. That's when the walls feel closest, when I can feel the air thinning, when I can hear my own breath bouncing back at me in this little metal box. It's not a room anymore. It's not even a vessel. It's a grave. Sometimes I wonder if the surface even exists anymore. If the shockwave didn't just take out our communications, but the whole damned world. Maybe we're not stranded at the bottom of the ocean. Maybe there's nothing left to go back to. I find myself pressing my palms to the hull, feeling the cold bleed through. Sometimes I tap it just to hear the sound come back at me, like knocking on the inside of a coffin. The steel is the only thing between me and the water, and I can feel it bending, almost breathing. It's only a matter of time before it gives and the sea pours in, cold, black, and endless, filling me from the inside until there's nothing left but silence. I don't know how many days it's been. The hunger comes in waves, but the silence never stops. Sometimes I think I hear movement outside, soft drags, like something running its fingers along the hull. But when I hold my breath to listen, there's nothing, just the sea pressing in. I've stopped hoping for rescue. If they were coming, they would have come by now. No, the Arden is my coffin, and the trench is my grave. I'll stay here, buried under miles of water, until the steel rots away and the ocean finally takes me. If anyone finds this, know that I fought the last, and when the dark came for me, it found me waiting. Statement ends. The preceding statement was found in a sealed steel canister recovered from a salvage operation in the Western Pacific in 1983. The container was lodged within the corroded remains of a World War II submarine, the identity uncertain. Naval records confirm that HMS Arden was declared missing in action in 1943 with all hands lost, presumed sunk by enemy action. However, the vessel was last reported patrolling the North Atlantic, not the Mariana Trench. Additionally, no Captain Edward Hensley is listed among known commanding officers of the Royal Navy submarine fleet during that time, and several of the crew named in this statement do not appear in military records. It remains unclear how the document came to rest in that location or whether the events described bear any relation to the missing submarine recorded in naval archives. For now, this will be coded under Anomaly Code U-481-Delta. Classification: Temporal Displacement, Locational Anomaly. Status: Inactive. Priority: Medium. End recording. The Obscure Dossier is a podcast created by K.W. Krieger, licensed under a Creative Commons Non-Attribution Non-Share-alike 4.0 international license. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow us on Reddit at The Obscure Dossier, like us on Facebook, and as always, thanks for listening.